Do you know what makes the Porsche 911 GTS Targa so awesome? Well, I am about to show you. Just like there are many kinds of Cheerios, there are a bunch of different Porsche 911s, the base Carrera, Turbo, and GT3 to name a few, plus there are hardtop, cabriolet, and Targa body styles. The current 992 generation has been without one popular variation, this. Starting in early 2022, the GTS will once again be a thing on all three body styles. This video is kind of a twofer. First of all, believe it or not, in all my years in writing about cars, I've never driven a 911 Targa, so that wrong is about to be righted. And the GTS is one of my favorite models because it's kind of the Goldilocks 911. Here's why. For around $19,000 more than a Carrera S, which is the second rung up the 911 ladder, it adds a bunch of standard equipment that equals the price of the lower model, then tosses in stuff like center locking wheels, helper springs on the rear axle that help keep the main coils under constant tension, and upgraded brakes from a 911 Turbo that aren't available on the Carrera. In the past, GTS added the wider body kits, but that's now standard on the 992 generation. Car spotters, this model gets a black Targa bar.
In the previous generation, the 991.2 model, as we called it, which is the 2017, 2018, 2019 model year 911, the Targa within the 911 GTS models was indeed the most sold variant, closely followed by the rear drive GTS coupe. So the Targa has found quite a few fans, particularly in GTS guys.
Prices start at around $138,000 for a rear-drive GTS coupe. I traveled to Porsche's North American headquarters in Atlanta to drive the Targa 4. Here are a few shots of the coupe version. Fortunately, I wanted the Targa and Matt Farah wanted the hardtop, so this worked out well for both of us. All in, well optioned with upgraded chalk paint. This one stickers for $194,000. That buys 5 loaded Mazda Miata RFs, you know, in case you're into volume. Let's talk powertrain. The 3-liter twin-turbocharged flat-6 mounted in the rear makes 473 horsepower and 420 pound-feet of torque. That's 30 horses and 23 pound-feet over Carrera S. GTS gets a black sport exhaust system. Push the button for a little extra snap, crackle, pop. Gear swaps in this case are clipped off by Porsche's renowned 8-speed PDK dual-clutch automatic with a torque vectoring rear differential and electronically controlled locking. A 7-speed manual with shortened lever and a mechanically locking diff is a no-cost option. The Sport Chrono package with Sport Response button that offers up 20 seconds of extra boost is standard. So is the lowered Porsche Active Suspension Management Sport on most GTSs. GTS is available in rear and all-wheel drive unless you get the Targa, which is strictly powered by all 4 wheels. I'm heading out of Atlanta to some nice winding roads that Porsche has pointed me to, and to think this is my job. The Targa structure is girder solid with the top up. It's quiet just like the coupe. The advantage of the Targa's top is that visibility rearward is better because the cabriolet has that big sail. Now, the convertible's advantage is that you can raise and lower the top at speeds of up to 31 miles an hour. With the Targa, you have to be parked. Let's do that so I can show you Germany's finest ballet company with performances that last only 16 seconds. Looking to blend in? Well, the Targa 4 is the wrong car. This dance attracts eyeballs. Virtually silent, it's some 230 pounds heavier than an all-wheel drive coupe. The Targa has a hard advantage when it comes to security. Unlike a soft top, its roof cannot be cut open with a knife. That is a sin against the car gods, by the way. Those that slice ragtops are denied entry to car heaven in the afterlife. You've been warned. Check out the wind blocker. GTS has a little bit more power than the Carrera S, so it is going to be a little quicker. The coupe will do 0 to 60 in 3.1 seconds. The Targa is a little bit heavier, so a little slower. but not too shabby. A reminder, Porsche has always been conservative about performance numbers. Let's get past stats and talk about personality. No surprise, there's plenty of power to pass. And again, this car sounds magnificent. The engine behind you, always a treat. Active Aero? Of course there is. Not just speed sensitive, it takes into consideration the drive mode too. Yeah, you can get the manual transmission in the Targa GTS. It's a no-cost option. Personally, I think I would stick with the PDK. It's a brilliant gearbox. Idling shifts. It can outdrive and outthink just about any driver. The Targa's standard all-wheel drive claws its way out of corners without calling attention to itself. The dynamics are transparent. The car tames the road. No fuss, no muss. It's automotive joy defined. Seems like there's nothing I can do to upset it. This is optioned with rear axle steering that turns the rear wheels out of phase with the fronts at up to 31 miles an hour and in phase over 50. At the end of the day, this is a 911. When the traffic opens up and you push this thing, well, it feels like a 911. It feels like a hero. It makes anybody a better driver. As for the Targa roof, things are certainly louder with the top open. Unlike the cabriolet, there's a B-pillar for the wind to catch, so turbulence is definitely heard rushing past it. It's why I have the window up. Wind management? Well, I don't wear gobs and gobs of hairspray, so this is an excellent test. Seems like my hair is in place. Only you can be the judge. Yes? Looking okay? All right, let's move on. Not that Porsche owners will care much about fuel economy, but I'll point out that the EPA average should be around 20 miles per gallon, and it wants premium, of course, and fill it with the good gas, not the stuff at the corner convenience store. One thing I've never liked about the Mazda Miata RF, with the top down, it doesn't really feel like a top-down car. It just feels like a vehicle with the sunroof open. This Targa feels very open, more like the cabriolet. I like this. And I like these roads. Sweeter than Captain Crunch. So glad they were largely empty. The cockpit is a lovely place to pilot this machine from. Equipped with the $4,500 interior package, it's stuffed with premium materials. Typical Porsche, it's sewn and screwed together perfectly, though getting picky, my fingers would love to feel metal here and not plastic at nearly $200,000. And I'll point out it's easy to spend way too much money on painted gauge clusters for $420 and color-matched seatbelts for $300. That's the Porsche way. There are 4 different seats available, including full carbon fiber shell chairs. These are the adaptive thrones for $3,000. The 992 series has a very clear layout when it comes to controls. Switchgear has a lovely dampened quality to it. Too bad this isn't touch-o-vision. The GTS has Porsche's newest user interface called Porsche Communication Management 6.0, similar to what's in the Taycan. I didn't have time to check out the voice recognition quality and all. I mostly used wireless Apple CarPlay, and for you Android users, Porsche supports your phones through a wired connection. Finally. The 992 is larger, but it's still not a big car. There's enough storage spaces and cup holders to get a person organized, but go with a Cayenne if you need room. 911s are 2+2s, kids fit in the back, but after kindergarten, you're going to want to move to Panamera, Macan, or Cayenne to shuttle the brood by Porsche. This is really more for luggage. And to all the Tesla folk that insist Elon invented the frunk, well, no. Porsche and Volkswagens have had those for decades. There's enough room for 2 smaller carry-on suitcases. Travel light. Let's move on to red light, green light. Green lights. It's a 911. Drive one and you'll understand that it's like a man and machine mind meld. The balance of comfort, sport, and price is hard to overstate when it comes to the GTS. It's happy on both road and track, something few cars replicate. The build quality is perfect. Nerdy me loves looking at all the tight aligned seams and flawless paint. Yellow lights? Perfect as a daily driver. Performance purists will lament that the 992 is a 911 that's inching into grand touring territory. Fuel economy shouldn't be an issue for the income level that buys this, but an estimated 20 mpg is SUV territory. Love the open-air feeling, but to keep the B-pillar from directly channeling wind noise into outer ears, the windows need to be up. Red lights. I'd like the door releases to feel as good as the other switchgear. There's the usual Porsche tax when it comes to optional equipment. It starts expensive and climbs from there, and there's not much room for luggage and extra passengers. But this is a Porsche and a sports car, so all of those things are expected. Other than the lofty price, it's hard to find much fault with a car that plugs directly into your synapses and translates thought into action. It feels unflappable. And whether it's the coupe, cabrio, or Targa, 911's design is fashion as timeless as a navy blue blazer. The GTS is a great choice if the turbo and GT3 models are too much and lower models aren't quite enough.
I don't know, if I were buying a 911, I would have a really hard time choosing between the coupe and the Targa. I love the classic lines of the coupe, but love the openness and the versatility of the Targa. Whichever one you buy, definitely go with the GTS. It's a bargain.
Well, okay, for a Porsche. Go with the coupe to save money, or buy your cereal on sale if it helps to buy the more expensive Targa. The GTS is the sweet spot of this sweet ride. Some production notes. I love this background. It's not Germany, it's Helen, a little bit of Bavaria in Georgia, USA. And this is a bank. I went through the drive-thru to ask the teller if I could use it to stage some photos, and she just laughed and said, "Wow, perfect car. Go ahead." So thanks to them. There are times when I need to use manufacturers' running footage these days because we're not allowed to have other people in cars on some of these events. And photographer JF Musial shoots great stuff, so I'm using it. Plus, I don't have much of a choice.
Well, there you go. I've finally driven a Porsche 911 Targa, and it is good. I just need to make more money. You know, at the end of these videos, I always give you a fun fact, and this one is about why all Targas have all-wheel drive. I'm going to let Frank take this one, for authenticity.
Targa has been all-wheel drive only since the 901 generation, at least. And the reason for that is that it's often enjoyed by drivers that live in the northeastern US perhaps, or the Alpine regions, southern Germany, Switzerland, and Europe, for example. And people there enjoy driving top down, but they don't want to be as exposed to the elements, particularly maybe when it's snowing, or it has snowed, or in the fall, as you would be in a cabriolet. And that is why it makes sense to offer the Targa with all-wheel drive, because it is your everyday, all year round, open-top car.
Frank also told me why the lowered window raises a couple inches when the door is opened, so it doesn't rattle.
The things we learn. I didn't even know that. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe every Tuesday, a great car review video like this. You can't go wrong. And it's free, right? Yeah. That's Driven. I'm Tom Voelk.